Hello everybody, I just wanted to do a really quick video giving you an update on what I've been working on, and that has mainly been Blood and Valor World War I stuff. So I'm building two armies, a German platoon inspired by the kind of stormtrooper tactics and troops, and then a British platoon. So I got the British in the front here, and I've got basically three groups of riflemen, one, two, three, a Highlander section, the command section, sniper team, and a heavy machine gun. So these troops paint up super fast, and I anticipate getting these done, pretty quickly. Here's what I've got painted so far. You got the riflemen here, just a regular rifle squad. You can get the machine gun there. And then here are the Highlanders. So I did attempt tartans on the back. My first real try doing these. Now, initially when I painted them, I thought they looked pretty good, and then I put a dark wash over them to kind of darken them down, and that ended up obscuring like almost all the detail that I painted in there. I think one thing when I'm doing tartans in the future is I'm going to have to, I think, make the checks bigger. Doing them really small like this, I think, makes it way harder. I think, yeah, they're going to have to be bigger in the future. So this was kind of an experiment. I'm going to be doing some Napoleonic Highlanders maybe at the end of this year, or it might be pushed into next year. So this was kind of a fun experiment. So I did kind of red hackles or pom-poms or whatever they are on the helmets. I think in reality these were not red. I would imagine they were probably more like a green color, but I just wanted to add as much color as possible because these armies are so not colorful. And you can see on the riflemen too, I did some kind of red field signs or whatever on the helmets and on the shoulder. And I've seen pictures of helmets of the time period with markings painted on them. So I'm doing that to identify my squads. I'll do a full showcase, proper showcase of this army when it's all finished. This is just, a quick hobby update. For the basing, what I've been doing is I've been using spackle to kind of try and create a simulated mud kind of texture. And the problem with it so far is that I think I need to put like a layer of glue and a little bit of sand on top because the paint does not stick very well to it, and it kind of tends to flake up and expose the white spackle, which is kind of annoying. So I think in the future I'm gonna have to put some sand on the rest of these, some sand and glue just to kind of hold that spackle down and make a better surface for the paint. And I think this is what all I'm gonna do for this army so far, except for I'm gonna add some cavalry to it. And I'm doing a few things that aren't 100% legal under the Blood and Valor army list, but that's not really a big deal to me because I'm just playing casually with friends and everything. So I want to build the army that I want to build. I think in future I will add a tank to this force, but I'm not sure which manufacturer I'm going to use for the tank, and also they seem like they're kind of expensive. So the tank is going to have to wait, but I'm pretty pleased with how these are going so far, and these paint up super quickly the way I'm doing them. Been relying a lot on washes. But yeah, I think I should get these guys done, in hopefully maybe 2 weeks. We'll see how much time I have painting, but all of this, the machine gun, the 8-man team, and the 6 Highlanders, I did those in like a week. And I even, I started on some of the other figures in the platoon, the other sections while I was doing those. Those sections have 10 men. And that was at the same time as doing my Germans. So far I've just got the painted everything up from the War Games Atlantic plastic box set, and I'll do, more in depth on the Germans once I get them all based up and everything. But so far I got 2 rifle sections, the command section, and then 2 stormtrooper sections. And I really like the War Games Atlantic plastics. I don't think I'm gonna, for the Germans, I have a couple of problems with the set. One of the things about them is they're made out of this really hard plastic, which makes them hard to clean up without, destroying other detail. I think the Victrix plastic consistency, or whatever you would call it, density, is better. And also the details are kind of, I don't think they've fully worked out how to make good details in the plastic. But they still are really nice figures. I like them. I'm not going to get it. I want to flesh out this platoon more, bulk up the rifle sections, maybe add some more stormtroopers and a flamethrower, and add another rifle section. I'm not going to get the plastic box set again because I don't think I really need another 30 of these guys, and I want some more variety. I think I've got all the poses that you can really make, but I do really like this set. I think it's a great set if you're looking for World War I Germans. I wouldn't hesitate to pick that up. So that's what I've got so far. This is just a quick hobby update. I'm gonna do some full, army showcases and talk a little more in detail about the forces once I get them all finished and add those extra units. And hopefully that'll be pretty quick. So thanks for watching. Hopefully get some better content up in the future, but this is what I got for now. I think, this World War I stuff, my goal was to get it all done by Thanksgiving, and I think I'm going to be able to do that easily. And if I get all this stuff done by Thanksgiving, I'm going to consider that a serious win. So hopefully I can get a game in around Thanksgiving. As far as other stuff, I've got other stuff on the radar. I'll talk about it later. I think I'm going to take a little break from the ancient and medieval stuff. I might pick it up again in December, but I think I'm going to be focusing on, this World War I stuff, and then, I think the muskets and tomahawks. And that's just because I want to get some basic forces down for different rule sets. I've also been kind of interested in the sharp practice rules. So, what I have bought as well is I got some of these Perry British, and I think, this is going to be something that I work on, while I'm not doing other stuff, just paint up a figure here and there. I think these are going to paint up really fast, and with this project I'm going to be really strict. I'm not going to get any more of this stuff until I finish painting the box up, painting each box up. And, I haven't bought the Muskets and Tomahawk rulebook yet because, again, it's really expensive. So I think that's going to wait for a little bit. The rulebook's expensive, but then you also have to buy the supplement and the cards and everything. I guess I could make my own cards, but that also feels kind of cheap on the other hand. So that's kind of an expensive buy-in. So that's gonna wait a little bit before I get that. And my idea for that is definitely going to be doing sort of the Saratoga northern campaigns of the American Revolution. I think for my American force, which I haven't bought anything yet for that, that's going to be focused around the Green Mountain Boys, Warner's Regiment, the Green Mountain Rangers, which I think will be interesting. Going to be a lot of green-coated troops. Northern frontiersman types. I think I'm going to use the Canadian militia for a lot of those, the northern frontier types, because, I was reading some Ethan Allen stuff, who is, a big leader in these parts, and, he said he was dressed in Canadian gear when he took Fort Ticonderoga, which is in kind of stark contrast to all the paintings of him you see. The illustrations, he's in kind of, continental uniform, continental army-inspired uniform, where from what it sounds like, he was in very kind of informal clothing actually during that raid. It sounded like he was wearing like a red beanie, basically. So I kind of want to do, incorporate some of those Canadian figures as kind of northern frontier settlers, and also, use the Roberts Rangers figures as well for, the Green Mountain Rangers, because, a lot of them were veterans of Roberts Rangers, or maybe they're, the sons of fathers who were veterans of Roberts Rangers, so they might still have those kind of uniform elements. And, within that short time span between the American Revolution and the French and Indian War, I kind of doubt that the uniform, in these kind of backwoods areas, I kind of doubt the fashions were totally up to date, but I could be wrong on that. So yeah, I think the British force I'm going to do for the American Revolution is going to be kind of based off of Butler's Rangers, and um, you know, there's a my struggle with this. I think is going to be keeping the size of the British force down because there's so much more diverse elements to it. I really want to have some Highlanders in there. I want Hessians in there. I want to have a large Iroquois contingent. So those are probably going to add up to a large force in addition to those kind of core redcoats. I want butlers, rangers, troops like that. So, the trouble is going to be I'm going to have to look at the army list. It's like, how do I get these different elements that I want? Hessians, rangers, Iroquois, and how do I kind of keep that project scaled down? Maybe this turns into a massive project. I don't know. And that's mainly, I'm going to have to think of how I want to add more sort of diverse elements to the continental troops, because I don't really want to, I don't want to be painting the same thing over and over again for this force. So that's kind of part of my reasoning, incorporating some of these Rangers and Canadian type troops in, just to kind of get more of a visual diversity look. And maybe I'll add, maybe the key is going to be adding some different, continental regiments in there. So I'm going to have the Green Mountain, Warner's Rangers, Green Mountain Boys, Green Mountain Rangers is kind of the core force, but maybe I'll add some like New Hampshire militia in there and kind of different colored coats or something. And, there might be some interesting kind of hobby, modeling, conversion possibilities. I don't think these Perry plastic sets super lend themselves to conversion in the way some other sets do, but I'm happy with them. And yeah, so I got these guys. I have them in the cut down. Maybe I'll zoom in on these. So these are I got the Perry British set, and I've so far put them in the Saratoga. I've built up a core squad of like 8 guys for these. I've got them in the Saratoga campaign hats, the cut down hats, which kind of resemble the light infantry hats. So maybe I'll use this section as like loyalists or something. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, that's an idea I've kind of had, is that maybe these guys will be like loyalist rangers with the cut down hats, and then I'll just use the tricorn hatted guys for the regular British regulars, even though they were wearing these cut down hats, just to kind of have a visual distinction between the units. And I think with the wargaming, it's okay to take some historical liberties, because you are kind of doing art as well as, recreating history. So I think, if you're using some artistic license to separate units on the board, it's okay to kind of play around a little bit. And, who's to say some units may have, kept their tricorns in the Northern campaign. Who's to say? And maybe some historical experts will tell me I'm totally wrong, and that's perfectly fine too. So I want to do this small American War of Independence skirmish project, and then I'm also kind of interested in doing some Napoleonic skirmish stuff too. So I have a couple box sets that I bought years ago that I was initially planning on doing that, and then I hurt my wrist, totally shelved that project, and then I've been painting Ancients for like 2 straight years since that, without a break. Ancients and medieval stuff, so I want to kind of take a break from the Ancients. I have a huge backlog to do for them, I think it's going to have to wait till December next year because I want to build some armies up for different rule sets, different time periods. And I think it's kind of funny. I was watching Holy Diver's channel recently, and it's a pretty, he's a funny guy, but he was kind of going off on this rant against skirmish wargaming. And, the funny thing is I've been increasingly looking at that just as a way to start off some armies in different periods where I can play a game. And the other kind of interesting thing with it is those games have kind of, I feel like, been pushing the envelope with the mechanics, the game mechanics. I guess I could have done Black Powder, American War of Independence stuff, but I feel like those rules are kind of missing an element, and maybe I'm wrong, but the Muskets and Tomahawks is really appealing to me because it has this, these interesting activation dynamics. It kind of turns the traditional turn-based stuff on its head in a way. Same with Sharp Practice. I have the PDF of those rules, and that's kind of what I'm interested in is, kind of moving towards these interesting dynamics, the friction of war, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, so I'll end the video here, but yeah, I kind of want to build up some different periods just to get some variety in there, and I think the skirmish scale stuff, it's a good way to start. And in the future, I may well expand these armies. It'll be awesome to have, the big Napoleonic battalions. But for right now, these skirmish sets, the rules are interesting, and it's a way to kind of get into some different periods without having to fully commit. And I don't think that makes me a, hobby lightweight or anything, because I have huge amounts of, I have hundreds of ancients, more than I can even play in a single game. I have, 4 full ancient armies. My Macedonians in particular, I have like more Macedonian troops. I have enough Macedonian troops to do any period of Alexander the Great through the successors and put a full army on the table. So, and that's, so I have tons of different troop types of that, and I have even more to do still. So that's what I've been working on so far. This video kind of ended up being a little more of a ramble than I intended, but these videos are also a good way to kind of organize your thoughts. So I think, the push is going to be get these World War I stuff done in the next couple weeks. If I have a spare moment, I'll start throwing some paint on these AWI figures. And yeah, I think, we might hit the ground running with the AWI stuff in December. For next year, and I think, this will be a good way to take a break from the ancients, do something else productive while I recover, and then in January we're gonna hit the ground running again, I think, with the ancients. And I still build this stuff on the side, but I have a full German army to do. I've got my Normans to do. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to do first. I think it would be nice to get the Normans out of the way. But the thing about the Normans is I don't have an opposing army for them. So, I got to decide what the enemy army I'm going to do for the Normans will be. And the great thing about the Normans is they are so, they're endemic everywhere. So I have a lot of flexibility in my opponents and stuff. It'd be kind of cool to do Byzantines, but I'm not totally sure. There isn't a lot out in plastic or anything that I really like for them if I'm going to bulk up that army. But that's what I've got so far. Thanks for listening. Sorry for the ramble here.